my fucking knee. Oh, God. Oh, that fucking hurt. Oh, Christ. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I can see the bone. Oh, my God. Oh, fuck. Bandersnatch isn't a particularly good movie. The color palette sucks, the acting is terrible, I don't like Fionn Whitehead in this role, but I especially dislike Eyebrow Man. I don't even know if he's a bad actor or not, because whenever he's on screen in any role he's ever played, I can only ever concentrate on those eyebrows. What makes Bandersnatch great, despite these problems, is its interactivity. Some may argue whether it's a movie at all. In any case, it's one of the most unique film experiences I've ever had, and it gives Bandersnatch a great deal of replayability, as each choice made in the film leads to a new branching storyline. Even when you hit a dead end and have to make the same choice, picking the same option again sometimes leads to a new branch. And I know that because I am a completionist. I think we're gonna have to accept here. We're gonna work at the studio. I feel good about this. Didn't quite work there. We got one more time, one more round around. I think we're gonna have to work at the studio. This time I feel.
We did that one.
It's going to work.
We already did that one.
This time's gonna be the time. Didn't quite work that time. I'm feeling lucky about this. Fourth time's the charm. That's what they always say, right?
Stop.
Fourth time's the charm. Here we go.
I'm leaving you.
The story is extremely meta, and though it may not belong on any top 10 list, Bandersnatch is a noteworthy film of 2018, and I sincerely hope that its success will mean greater interactive movies in the future. Crazy Rich Asians is not good, it sucks dick, and I hate that it had any success.
These people are so posh and snobby, they're snotty. Ew.
What is the worst pain that you've ever been in your life?
They're snotty.
They're snotty. They're snotty.
I realized that was rock bottom. Yeah, that was rock bottom for me.
Its biggest selling point is that its cast is almost entirely Asian.
By the way, I gotta point this out. Not since 1993's Joy Luck Club has a film featured an all-Asian cast.
A predominantly Asian cast.
Starring a mostly Asian cast.
Crazy Rich Asians has an all-Asian cast.
And hey, that's great. Hollywood could definitely use more diversity. But having an Asian cast doesn't make your movie good, first of all. And secondly, we already got Searching over here, which also has a predominantly Asian cast, but instead of being Crazy Rich Asians, this movie is over here being good. John Cho isn't standing on a soapbox talking about how Asian the cast is, he's out there talking about how good the movie is, because that should be the selling point of your movie.
To me, the film works. There's the concept of it, the conceit of it taking place on screens, but it works ultimately because it is a very classical structure. It's a very classic themes. Is the thrill of seeing the drama that we live on our devices being displayed in a classical way.
Searching takes place entirely on the screen of a laptop, and for the story being told, it works really well most of the time. There are several scenes where the screen perspective is really shoehorned into the movie, but for the most part, it's great. It's a tense viewing experience with several genuine surprises. It also wins some points by including real websites and not resorting to shitty knockoff ones that low-budget films so often use. But if you take away the screen gimmick, does it hold up? Not really. The film is competent enough, but the performances are really hit and miss. And after I watched Searching, I kind of forgot it existed, which is not a great sign. Ever since Captain America in 2011, Infinity War has been held up as the event that every movie in the MCU is building towards. But Infinity War should not work as a movie. There are too many characters, too many subplots, too many moving parts for it to not blow up in Disney's face. But somehow, it does work. It works really well. Because all these other characters have already been developed in their own movies, Infinity War is able to devote most of its time into developing Thanos. The audience is able to understand and sympathize with him, which makes him an interesting and formidable antagonist. Also, Thanos was totally right. He was actually the hero in the movie, right? Right, guys? Everyone knows he's the good guy, right? I just revealed more about myself than I should have. Infinity War is fast-paced, entertaining, beautiful to look at, and it carries real emotional weight. It makes you care about the stakes in this movie and the characters in it. All things considered, Infinity War shouldn't be as good as it is. Most of all though, I just keep going back to watch this movie. I've seen it probably 6 times now, and I typically don't rewatch movies. It's not particularly smart or artistic, but it is really, really entertaining. When I first started watching this movie, I thought, why is this in black and white? And halfway through I thought, why is this in black and white? But at the end of it I thought, wow, that was a great movie. Why the fuck is it in black and white? Roma feels like it was made 30 years ago. The opening shot is of a tile floor that doesn't move for 3.5 minutes. It's a slow-paced film. There's no exposition. The first 40 minutes of the film are emotionally distant from the audience. It's not an easy movie to watch. The cinematography is incredible, as are the sets, as are the performances. Roma is a work of art, and no one should expect anything different from the same director as Children of Men. That being said, there was no reason for it to be black and white. His reason for doing so was that the movie was loosely based on his own life, and it should be black and white in order to make it seem like a memory from the past. But fuck that reason, it would have been way better in color. I can't tell what's happening on screen half the time because everything looks the same. I got the strong impression that when they landed on Sam Elliott to play Bradley Cooper's brother, they realized that Sam Elliott is never going to sound anything like Bradley, so Bradley just did the whole movie doing his best Sam Elliott impression.
I should put her down somewhere.
Maybe it's because we look like a father and son duo.
I'm so happy for
Caterpillar becomes the butterfly.
you. I'm just gonna have him fly one and then we'll try it there and see.
A Star is Born was an ambitious project for Cooper, being the writer, director, producer, and supporting actor, but I kinda think he pulled it off. Cooper and Sam Elliott's performances are great, and Lady Gaga does well too. And then, of course, it has the song. I mean, everyone knows about the song by now. The only criticism I have for A Star is Born is that it's really hard to tell how much time has passed between scenes. Sometimes it seems like months or years, but it's not conveyed well to the audience. Ali's manager also seems way too evil to be a real person. He feels way too much like a walking plot device. I mean, just look at what he says in this scene.
You are alone, child. There is only darkness for you, and only death for your people. These ancients are just the beginning. I will command a great and terrible army. We will sail until every light has been extinguished.
8th Grade and Mid90s are basically the same movie. They both follow a young person in a coming-of-age story. They both have celebrity directors. Bo Burnham directed and wrote 8th Grade, and Jonah Hill directed and wrote Mid90s. They both star unknown actors. They are both visceral films that put you in the shoes of the main character. The only differences here are the gender of the main character as well as the time period of the film, but otherwise they're interchangeable. Although 8th Grade is more lighthearted than Mid90s. I would of course recommend seeing both of these films, but if you're only going to pick one, pick the one that you think you could most relate to. Are you a late 20s, early 30s male? Go see Mid90s. That fits me, so I connected more with Jonah Hill's movie. Are you a younger teenage girl? My girlfriend is not a teenage girl, for the record. Any cops who are watching? I don't date teenage girls, that would be illegal. There's no reason for anyone to look into that, but because she's a girl, she connected more with 8th Grade. Also, she didn't see Mid90s. When I first watched Suspiria, I didn't have subtitles turned on, and I didn't know that I was supposed to have subtitles on. So I'm sitting there like a fucking idiot, watching these people talk in German, saying, yes, very interesting, when I have no idea what the fuck is happening on screen. And yet somehow this did not greatly affect my understanding of the film. Suspiria is a remake of the 1977 film of the same name, but all you really need to know about this movie is that it's fucking weird. To illustrate just how weird this movie is, Tilda Swinton plays 3 different characters in this movie for no apparent reason. It serves no purpose whatsoever. It's filled with gore, nudity, amazing dance choreography, and some great performances, but not everything here works. The film tries to incorporate the German autumn as a backdrop to the film, possibly lending some themes, but it isn't well developed and it ends up falling flat. The film also makes some very deliberate choices with the cinematography to make it seem reminiscent of 1970s filmmaking, specifically with zoom shots as well as some slow motion effects later on in the plot, and sometimes this works, but most of the time it's just distracting. Despite these flaws, it's still probably the best horror movie of the year.
The Transformers will return after these messages. We now return to the Transformers.
Ooh, now we're getting into the big boys, the top 5. These are the
best of the best of the best, sir. Yeah, with honors.
And we're starting out with the king of style, the one and only Wes Anderson. You can always recognize a Wes Anderson movie by its symmetrical shots, its dry humor, its rapid pace, and whether or not Bill Murray is in it. Isle of Dogs is no exception. It's hilarious, it doesn't waste your time, and it's worth seeing for its animation alone. The sushi scene in particular stands out as an achievement of stop-motion animation. I didn't like Isle of Dogs nearly as much as I liked Grand Budapest Hotel, but it still required viewing for 2018. I expect this will be a controversial choice, but Annihilation was one of my favorite movies of the year. I am a huge sucker for sci-fi, and this movie checks all the right boxes. Strong female lead? Check. Great visual effects? Check. Thematically revolves around the nature of humanity? Big ass check. I say this over and over again, but the point of any great science fiction is to highlight what makes us human. And Annihilation does this by exploring humanity's capacity for self-destruction. To be honest, this movie is a lot smarter than I am. Alt-Shift-X made a video that did a great job helping me understand all the themes of this film, and the original author of the book even gave his praise, so I would urge you to check that video out. But what drew me to this movie the most is the incredible sense of dread it gave me while watching it. There's something about the premise that I find fundamentally disturbing, the idea of not just being killed, but assimilated. Destroyed entirely. And then we got that creepy ass music that blah da 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 da. See this movie if you want nightmares, but like really cool nightmares. I could talk forever about how great the animation is for Into the Spider-Verse, but there are already several great videos floating around where the animators themselves go into detail better than I ever could, so I'll just link them below. Instead, I want to talk about how meta this movie is. And being meta doesn't make a movie good, but it does show a self-awareness. The movie is very aware how many times we've seen an origin story for Spider-Man, so to rub salt in the wound, this movie gives us another 7. It knows that the old Spider-Man cartoon became one of the most recognizable memes on the internet, so it gives us a post-credit scene to top all post-credit scenes. But none of this comes from a place of scorn for what came before. It comes from a place of love. It's very, very evident that this film was a passion project for all those involved, and that's because they love Spider-Man, whatever form Spider-Man happens to take. It was extremely refreshing to see an IP in the hands of someone who actually cares about it. Into the Spider-Verse is an amazing movie with an amazing soundtrack and quite a few amazing spider characters. That being said, I could have done without Peter Porker. Hey, I got a question for you. Do you like Nicolas Cage? And I don't mean like Lord of War Nicolas Cage or like Weatherman Nick Cage. I'm talking about Ghost Rider Nick Cage. I'm talking about Vampire's Kiss Nick Cage. I'm talking about the fucking Wicker Man Nick Cage. Nicolas Cage. Mandy is a love letter to all the latter Nicolas Cage fans. And if that weren't excellent enough, it's also an 80s metal album turned into film. What that means is you get Nicolas Cage having a chainsaw fight next to a satanic church while tripping on acid. Mandy is completely uncompromising in its vision. You just have to love the audacity of it. It's like drinking battery acid. It mixes reality with fantasy so well, and for the right kind of person, it's a cathartic masterpiece from start to finish. But mostly it's just so fucking metal! Yorgos Lanthimos is a director like none other, and I've been following his work ever since I broke down The Lobster back in 2016. However, Lanthimos' previous films were not very approachable to your average viewer. They suffer from pacing issues, strange plot lines, and ambitious themes. His characters speak in a monotonous and grating way that just makes his movies hard to watch and hard to enjoy. But his movies have always been funny, they've always been well shot, and you could tell he had the ability to make a great movie that would be palatable for large audiences. The Favorite is that great movie. For The Favorite, he dropped the art house label and exchanged it for the good fucking movie label. His characters actually sound like real people this time around. Take a look at Rachel Weisz's dialogue in The Lobster and compare that to her dialogue in The Favorite.
I have never seen it happen, but it's not difficult to imagine what it means. Oh my God, I am so afraid of it.
Abigail? Sometimes it is hard to remember whether you have loaded the pellet or not. I do fear confusion and accidents.
Lanthimos didn't write The Favorite unlike his previous films, and the writers probably didn't want or intend for their characters to sound like robots. The Favorite is interesting and smart and has incredible attention to detail. I especially love how dark the movie is, and I don't mean like thematically dark, because it has a bit of that too, but I mean like literally the movie is dark. It is hard to see things in this movie. Typically when a period piece is made, the night scenes are too well lit, but The Favorite says, fuck that shit. Before the invention of light bulbs, everything was really fucking dark. I love that, and it pays off in some interesting reveal shots later on in the film. Olivia Colman gave the best performance of the year, and thankfully the Academy recognized that too. The Favorite is a must-see film, blending comedy and drama as only an expert could. Just kidding, guys. The real best movie of the year is Super Mario Bros. 2! Super Mario Bros. 2! It wins it again. It's the best movie ever. I was a Dunkey clone the entire time. It's me, another Dunkey clone.